Hello friends, it's Kayla. It's time for a book haul. It's that time of year where I have to do a book haul like every 3 to 4 weeks rather than every 6 to 8 because I'm just going to bookstores more often. We're getting out, you know, it's summer. I'm hitting every thrift store I see. And also all my pre-orders are coming in for the summer. So there's just a lot, and if I don't do this as often, I'll forget which ones I haven't hauled yet. I feel weird filming in here, but there's no light in the living room. As soon as I turned on the camera, it just started pouring rain. So let's get into, oh my gosh, I have not organized this stack. Let's count them. 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. It's around 25 books. I guess let's start with new releases, some pre-orders, things that I'm really excited about that I've probably already told you about in my most anticipated video and my books coming up that I'm excited about videos. So first up, Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. I just finished Babel back there. I think it's back there. And I'm so excited that it went well because I also think that this is going to be just a favorite thing of mine. This is about two authors who are friends or frenemies. One of them dies and the other one takes her manuscript and publishes it as herself, as if it's hers, but also it has a lot of like commentary about race and discrimination in the publishing industry, I think. And so she also publishes it under like a racially ambiguous, in her mind, name, so she can get a certain amount of success via someone else's experiences. And I think it's gonna have a lot to say about a lot of things. So I'm excited to read that. I also have Housewoman by Adora Nwora. I still don't know if that's how to pronounce this author's name. I looked up interviews, I couldn't find any. But this is like a slow burn literary thriller where this woman from Nigeria moves to Texas and she is like given to this man and she has to live with her in-laws, and I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of conversation about like the expectations on her and her having her own autonomy, people trying to control her. Maybe she, I don't know, like putting it in the thriller category makes me think she is going to do something, stand up for herself in an intense way perhaps. I have no idea what to expect from this, but I'm going to read the first chapter in my Summerween video vlog week long series. Then I have romance, which is definitely a little risky with my current, you know, track record with romance books, but we'll see how it goes. So of course I picked up The Boyfriend Candidate by Ashley Winstead because this is an author who has given me one of my only 5-star romance books ever, Fool Me Once. And this one is about her sister, I think, and still has that like political intrigue involved. I think the setup is one of those situations where two people meet each other and have this little like whirlwind romance or like instant attraction, and then they find out the next day they're gonna have to work together or something like that. And then I've got Love at First Set by Jennifer Dugan, and this is about a woman who goes to the gym a lot. Does she work at the gym? Yeah, she has some kind of job at the gym, but her bosses like don't take her seriously, and then her boss asks her to be her bosses ask her to be their son's +1 to their daughter's wedding. And when she goes, she like convinces the bride to not get married. This is the bride. And then they're gonna fall in love. It seems like it's gonna be a little high stakes, but it also seems like it might be a rom-com. We'll see how that goes. Oh, I also grabbed this one. I can't remember if I've hauled this. Bear With Me Now by Katie Shepherd. I don't think so. I think I've just put it on Instagram because I think the cover is so cute. It takes place in the wilderness. I know that. There's a wilderness therapy retreat. This to me looks like a rom-com, but then the plot talks about how he's gonna hire her to come to New York after they do this wilderness thing together to be his sober companion. So we'll see how that one goes. Also grabbed Killing Me by Michelle Gagnon. This cover is shinier than I would have liked, but it seems like it's a wild, outrageous, on the cozier or fun side of mystery. I've also heard it's queer. So we're following a girl named Amber, and she is about to become the latest victim of a serial killer. She escapes and she's forced to flee across the country, ending up in Las Vegas. And she's partnering up with a noir-obsessed manager and a sex worker as her unlikely companions. I have this slotted into a video for far later in the year, but also I'm considering it as a book club pick. So we'll see. I also picked up a new release called Peachy by Camry Kohler, which I know I've talked about a couple times, but I don't know if I've said the full plot because I haven't read it. Basically, there's this group of witches, and then there's like all different types of witches, and there's like seer witches, restoration witches and then life drinking witches. So like vampire vibes. And our main character, Frankie, her grandma was killed by like a vampire-y witch, and now she is also being chased. But maybe she becomes a vampire herself because it says she has a desire to have more than one drink. But does that mean like alcohol or blood? We'll find out. Again, I'll read the first chapter during my summer ween vlogs. I also picked up this one, which is a new release. I didn't pre-order it. I was literally just in the bookstore and I saw the cover and I needed to have it. It's called Swamp Story by Dave Barry. And I have technically soft DNF'd it. I think I got a third of the way in, and it is that like fun, silly style of book that I was expecting. But I don't know if it's doing anything for me yet, but I need to keep reading because it's beautiful. That's the only reason. We're in a cabin on the Everglades, and there's this woman named Jessie, and she's living with her infant daughter and her ex-boyfriend, who is quite unhinged. He's hatching a scheme to lure tourists to his failing store by making viral videos of the Everglades melon monster. So he's just like filming everything that he does and wants Jessie in on it. And I'm gonna pick it back up. It was an interesting intro. I also grabbed a new release called Chain Gang All-Stars by Nana Kwame J. Brenya. And this is a story of an imagined future where convicted wards of state can opt out of their sentencing if they participate in death matches. I don't know any more than just that pitch, but I thought it sounded super interesting. Everybody said it's really good, so naturally I picked it up. Then, do I have any more new releases that I bought new? I don't think so. I got some stuff from the thrift store that is still kind of new, so that's exciting. But I'll go into my one ARC that I received, which is Rouge by Mona Awad. So thank you so much to her for organizing this to be sent to me. This is a story of a woman named Belle, and it's about like beauty, the beauty industry, and the cult-like practices that are going on where these women are being pulled into this spa and given like life transformations, and then she gets lured into it, and there's a frightening secret behind her and her mother's obsession with the mirror. It says it's Snow White meets Eyes Wide Shut, which is an interesting combination. I think it's about our relationship with mortality, her relationship with her mother, relationship with youth and beauty, and I'm just really excited to get to it. Then I did actually buy a couple things new because I needed them. We've got Hunger by Roxane Gay that I just picked up because I'm going to do a third time's a charm, probably starting today, where I'm reading 3 authors for the third time that I've given 5 stars to twice, and this is my 3rd time with them to solidify themselves as all-time favorites. This is the one that everybody told me I absolutely had to read. It's her memoir about like body image and food, disordered eating and whatnot. I've heard it is a super hard book to read, so I will prepare myself properly for that. And then I grabbed this brand new because I couldn't find it anywhere secondhand. I couldn't find it at the library, but I pulled it out of my members TBR jar. Do You Dream of Terra 2 by Temi O. This has been on my radar for sure, and it's thicker than I thought. It is a sci-fi story where a bunch of teens go to space. They are accompanied by a couple adults, and it's going to take like 20 or so years to get to Terra 2, which is exactly the same as Earth, but in a different galaxy. So they're traveling, and I don't know what happens in this lifetime, how many years we're really following, if they get to the planet, if the story takes place on the spaceship. I have no clue, but I'm excited to get into it. And then I think everything else is thrifted. I found a couple thrillers that I probably shouldn't have bought because they are like at the library, and I don't really know when I would slide them into my TBR. I have such a problem with thrillers. I just see them for so cheap at the thrift store, and then I just buy all of them. This one I was excited to read last year, Stay Awake by Megan Golden, and then I just didn't. It's by the author of Night Swim, which I really liked, and I said I would love to read more from this author, and then I just haven't. We're following Liv, who's a successful writer, and all I remember is like she wakes up in the back of a car and she can't remember anything from the past 2 days or something. Oh, just kidding, it's 2 years. She's on the run from a crime she doesn't remember committing. So she wakes up and sees this crime scene all over the news. There's like a message on the TV that's the same as the message written on her body, or she has a note or something, and she realizes maybe she committed a crime. I'm sure she didn't, but she's gonna find out who did. Then I grabbed The Kind Worth Killing by The Kind Worth Saving, sorry, by Peter Swanson, the sequel to The Kind Worth Killing, which I have said I'm not planning on reading because I don't think it needed a sequel. but I've seen so many people love this, and I did reread The Kind Worth Killing recently, so I am in a good spot to pick it up. I don't think I actually even want to know the plot, so sorry that I'm not going to share it with you either. I've got Not a Happy Family by Sherry Lapina, which I'm pretty sure I have marked as read on Goodreads, or I thought that I read it. I don't know what happened there, but I pick up all Sherry Lapina, even though I think I've only completed 2. But she's just such a well-known author, and she's one of the most popular in Canada especially. We're in New York. We're following a rich family, and then a killer comes to call. The Mertons are brutally murdered the night after an Easter dinner with their 3 adult kids. Each of those kids is set to inherit millions, so like they all have a reason that they could have committed the crime. So I guess it's figuring out who did it. Then patience pays off, because I knew I would eventually find this on sale somewhere. It's At Midnight. It's a short story collection that I think came out last year that I was excited to read, but I just have such a stack of anthologies that I really need to get to, so I couldn't find the motivation to buy this like full price. But I found it, and it's 15 beloved fairy tales reimagined. Dahlia Adler, one of my favorite editors, she did a Shakespeare-inspired one. She did an Edgar Allan Poe-inspired one. And in this we have 15 celebrated authors reclaiming classic fairy tales for a new generation. There's one by Anne Marie McLemore, who is historically one of my favorite short story authors, Rory Power, Darcy Little Badger, Melinda Lowe. And then we also get the origin stories, which I love so much, in the back. So that'll be fun, because I'm sure there are tales that I have never read. Next up, I found a couple Tor novellas, and I feel like I'm just constantly, like, Tor always comes out with really interesting novellas. So these were on my radar for last year, not that I can remember what they are. This is a sapphic romance set on Jupiter. I just remembered what this one is. And there's also a mystery. So we have an investigator, 2 women, and the rebuilding of Earth. And then I also have The Two Doctors Gorski by Isaac Fellman. We're following a graduate student in psychiatric magic and survivor of academic abuse, Anae, who can't stop reading people's minds. Then she decides to finish her studies under the seminal magician Merrick Gorski, infamous for bringing to life a homunculus made from his unwanted better self. That was embarrassing. I don't know. She has to survive and also grapple with academia, I think. What else did I grab? I grabbed It by Stephen King. I love this collection of editions. I don't think you can buy them new, so I have just been finding them used. This one has eluded me for very many years, and I'm excited to finally have it. It's about a killer. Well, is it about a killer clown? It's about your biggest fears. That's what it's about. And then I don't know if I ever hauled this, but I feel like I've had it in my closet for a while. So it's The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Gornichek. And I picked this up solely because this author has blurbed a bunch of my favorite books, and I figured I should probably read from her, and everybody loves this one. And I know I've talked about this synopsis multiple times, but I really cannot remember, was it in a haul, was it in a vlog, was it in my blurb video? But we have Angrboda, and she is a banished witch, and she falls in love with the legendary trickster Loki. I think I've hauled this before, that's my mistake. I do have another witchy one though that I haven't hauled. This is a romance. It's called Witchful Thinking. We have a main character named Lucinda. She spends her days teaching high school history and her nights reading tea leaves and tending to her conjure garden. One night she makes a wish that turns into a spell, and suddenly Lucy can't say no. She can't say no to public karaoke, not to running a 10K, and most alarmingly, not to her high school crush Alexander, who needs her help unjinxing his new house, which just happens to be right across the street from hers. That's so cute. Did this come out last year or the year before? It came out last year. I might have got this from the library thinking it was going to be in the Goodreads Choice Awards, and then it wasn't. And then I saw it for a couple dollars, so now it's mine. And then speaking of books that I thrifted that I have already read, I also found Daphne. Again, patience pays off. This one was expensive. I remember it being too rich for my blood. $38 for this little hardcover horror. It's a tough sell. So I got it from the library, I read it and loved it, and then I could justify purchasing it because I give it 5 stars. This is about a women's basketball team, and they are being stalked by this killer entity, Daphne, that if you think about her, she appears. And unfortunately, I left the weirdest one for last because I can't really justify this purchase. except for the cover, because like obviously it's got a pink rabbit on it, and it sounds like a fun, silly mystery. It is a mass market paperback, and it says "Here Comes Peter Chopping Tail" on the front, and I had to have it. Holy Terrors by Mary Dayam, a bed and breakfast mystery. This is at a pre-Easter brunch. The egg hunt gets particularly messy when the reclusive wife of a local scion is fatally perforated by a fiend dressed in a bunny suit. And we're following a policeman and a sidekick who are trying to figure out what happened. Oh, listen, I don't know what I'm doing lately. Some of these picks are a little bit questionable. Do you ever go into a thrift store, especially if it's one out of your way, and you're like, I haven't been here in months or years, or I've never been here, and I'm just gonna find so many hidden gems, and then you don't, and then you just feel like because you went out of your way to go there, you have to leave with something, so you just grab whatever's there. That was me with some of these books. Rob and I went on a trip to the Lower Mainland, and we do a very specific like drive out of the city every time, because this certain route I can hit 5 value villages within like an hour and a half, and it's so fun every time. And naturally some thrift stores hit it out of the park and some didn't. But I grabbed one from every store pretty much, even though I shouldn't have. But if I didn't hit every single one of them, I wouldn't have found this, which is definitely my most successful find. That's it for my book haul. I do need to rein it in a little bit more this summer, so please keep me on track, hold me accountable for that, and let me know if you're interested in any of these. I'm sure there are some more than others, but let me know, and I'll see you later. Bye.